There is an article actually worth reading that's out there on the internet. It is Online Censorship's Institutional Power: The Converging Interests of Technocrats, Media, and Academia, as seen through the lens of the world's most deplatformed U.S. legal site. A post by a Joshua Moon on the blog Substack, Mad at the Internet, madattheinternet.substack.com. I published this yesterday. This was something I hinted about on the Tuesday stream. It is also available on my Hex account. So if you go to my main profile, and I think it's pinned. So if you are interested in that, there's two ways to read it. I posted it on X so that people could just share it there natively. And almost 1,400 people have liked it. 400 people have shared it, which is very nice to see. I will summarize this in brief, because I spent about a week toying with it. And I'm considering it a couple, I don't know, some people say I should tighten up the language or whatever. But I would like to send it to people like directly in the mail at some point. And attach a cover letter. So I'm strongly leaning towards that. I don't know, some people said that the writing, a lot of people complimented the writing, but then some people said, actually, you really need a copy editor. You really need a copy editor. You use such emotionally evocative language. You need to rein that in. So I don't know. But in general, this is what it covers. A, Liz Fong Jones is very angry at me. B, it started because he tried to cover up a scam hotline, which he could not admit is a scam. C, after exiting Google and failing to use his Google email address to take down the Kiwi Farms, he then invested himself into a reputation management company called Tall Poppy, which he is a board member of. And since Tall Poppy is a reputational management company, it stands to wager that what he does and what he's interested in doing is controlling the flow of information, both in terms of removing results from search engines and then also creating positive media and crafting Wikipedia pages. Because in part, one of the customers on the front page of the Tall Poppy site is this woman called Catherine Marr, who is the former CEO of Wikimedia and is the current CEO of NPR. So you want to talk about a woman who can get you good publicity, good press, and good search results. I can't think of anybody better, because you have somebody who's at the highest part of NPR, who no doubt has endless contacts in journalism, who can get an article put out about anything, anywhere, easily, and then also has extensive contacts at Wikipedia, so that those articles find their way inside a Wikipedia article, no matter what Wikipedia article it is, no matter how protected it is. And those journalists who she also knows can then pump that article full of all sorts of delightful, inspiring commentaries on your person and career to sort of craft a narrative that then enters search engine results. So that when someone types in Liz Fong Jones, they don't see accused rapist, they see really diligent multimillionaire transgender activist, a success story, a wonderful person, a humanitarian philanthropist, investing her precious shekels into charity cases for no reason other than to benefit mankind. Really, just a success story from the ground up. So that's the kind of shit that you can accomplish if you have the right people. There's Ellen Powell, by the way, who is the woman who took the fall for all the horrible shit implemented on Reddit like 10 years ago. Horrible shit that they promised to overturn that they never did. And Anita Sarkeesian, for good measure. One thing I didn't include in this because I didn't find it relevant enough is that one of the stated advisors on the other side. So Anita Sarkeesian is the one of the benefactors of this company, but there's an advisor for it. And guess who the advisor is? It's I mentioned this last stream actually. It's Chelsea von Valkenburg, Zoe Quinn. So you have Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn involved in this reputation management company, which exists to craft people's digital footprints and sells them as a product, removing bad search results about them and covering them up with good search results so they can't be removed. Small world. Meanwhile, Liz Fong Jones seems hell-bent on perfecting a way to take down any content on the internet, including the Kiwi Farms. And that is like a model that they're literally studying. And I've covered the Cambridge studies into how deplatforming affects websites and what can be done to more effectively deplatform websites. And it's literally like a study to see, like, can we break the internet so that if you give Liz Fong Jones's company, Tall Poppy, enough money, that they can get positive of coverage for you and your companies. They can get that positive coverage into the Wikipedia article and craft that Wikipedia article to be as flattering as possible so that on your search results and in chat bots and in all the other stuff that Wikipedia flows into, because Wikipedia's content is Creative Commons, so Google is free, Bing is free to use that information to feed into their LLMs and feed into their info boxes, which is why they do it, because of the licensing. So anything that gets put into Wikipedia also flows downwards into the search engines. And then also, we can find out ways to mitigate your online presence. For instance, one of the investors into Liz Fong Jones's company, Tall Poppy, is Y Combinator, which is a very popular tech forum. In particular, it owns a forum called Hacker News, which is a bit of a conflict of interest because here's a post on Hacker News a couple years ago about the Google walkouts that led to Liz Fong Jones getting fired with severance to pay him to fuck off. The person says, "This boycott and these comments are being orchestrated by Liz Fong Jones. Liz Fong Jones is a transsexual activist and an offender in sexual harassment themselves. I'm posting this on a throwaway. I worked at Google from 2010 to 2014. Over the summer of 2012 and 2013, I joined an evil online corporation or guild with Liz and another one of my coworkers. It was a crazy place. Liz had a fanatical hatred of rape jokes. Rape was not a joke to Liz. Rape was a fantasy that Liz was all too happy to describe in great details. The corporation was kink friendly. I was embarrassed to say that this was part of the appeal to me. I'm happy to tie my girlfriends up as part of my role play. Liz's fantasies were a great deal more detailed and a great deal less fantasy oriented than I would like. I left that corporation after a while, but not as quickly as I should have. I was young, I was confused, and based on the success of her real names considered harmful letter, I believe that Liz was a credible, accredited leader. That same coworker who introduced me to Liz would several times invite me to join them for a lunch at Club Z. I declined, partially because there was something seemed off, mostly because I was satisfied with the lunches at Google. I would later find out that Club Z is not a lunch place, it is a rather infamous gay bathhouse here in Seattle. While I was in that corp, I was sexually assaulted by a former friend. About a year I knew and had considered a friend had something come out as bi and had confessed their love to me by forcefully kissing me at a party. I was embarrassed, I was not interested, and I made it pretty politely clear, to which they reacted badly. Now they had come out as trans and received an outpouring of support from mutual friends. Said friends convinced me to give them another chance. At their urging, I agreed to hang out with his friend at a movie night which no one else showed up to. Said former friend pressured me to try weed, which I had never done before. I regret it. Said friend offered me to show him his uncle's stash of child pornography. I had suspected that they were a pedophile, but yeah, should have run right then, was drunk. Said friend tried to force himself onto me. I am not bigger, but I am strong, and forced them off. I was also drunk and spent several uncomfortable hours waiting to sober up, repeatedly fending off unwanted advances. I went to the only trans person I knew and talked to him about it. Liz told me how much I was in the wrong, how important it was for trans people to explore their sexuality, called me a monster for not having responded positively. What if a biological woman had hit on you? Quote, the tired old canard was trotted out. I do not have any direct evidence of wrongdoing by Liz Fong Jones. I know that they hang out with and are supported by people who are long overdue for censure, people who were repeatedly able to convince others that they were the victim despite their clear aggression. At some point, for this post, between May 2023 and September 2023, this post was edited so that every mention of Liz Fong Jones was replaced with the word redacted. And this is the company that is an investor into Liz Fong Jones's Tall Poppy company, which is a reputation management company that sells as a product the ability to remove unflattering content about you from the internet, which is very, very interesting. There was an admin for Hacker News that responded directly to my article because I brought this up and mentioned that they will remove any personally identifying information upon request. So it is unknown if this is just their standard policy that if you say, hey, I don't want to be mentioned in this post, please remove it, that they will do so, or if Liz Fong Jones has paid for special privilege or received special privilege due to his direct affiliation with Y Combinator through his company. There are many associations like this. I think a lot of people were surprised to see certain names come up in the article because they personally know that this other person has connections with them. That's very skeevy and lends itself to the reputation management thing. In particular, and I'll end it with this. This company that's an investor, Inner Loop Capital. If I go to Inner Loop Capital, and assuming that there we go, you'll see that they advertise themselves in their portfolio as a pre-seed and seed venture capital firm investing in digital infrastructure technologies. Infrastructure is quite a bit different than reputation management, which means that what they usually try to invest into is very low-level networking stuff that is the fiber that builds up the internet, the low scaffolding that should be neutral, impartial, and open to everybody, is instead being funded by a capital investment company that also invests in a reputation management company, which is interesting because Liz Fong Jones is networking with companies like Zio and Cogent have benefited him in being able to remove us from the networks of many data centers across the world, despite the fact that those tier one companies should be completely neutral to the content that they host. It seems that there's also a direct conflict of interest in there. So it's pretty, I think it's very comprehensive and interesting. I don't know, maybe I'll get like a copy editor to try and make it a little bit more cohesive. But what my finishing thought with it is that what we need is a trade organization. Liz Fong Jones and Cambridge are going to the IEEE, as I have been instructed, in the Internet Engineering Task Force, and are proposing to them that things need to be done so that mean, harassing content on the internet should be easier to get rid of. And what anti-censorship needs, because the EFF does not do anything, is its own trade organization that can build up a company or a network of companies that are actually going to be neutral and impartial. And there's a lot of people out there doing different things or doing the same things, but in duplicative ways, which could benefit from such a trade organization. So I would like to pitch this to a couple different people and see what they say, and hopefully it will get not immediate results, because I don't think that kind of stuff happens, but generally when I write something, what I want to do is plant seeds so that even if it's 5 years or 10 years down the line, eventually it happens when it needs to happen. You're an 18-year-old student, you can't build a company or buy a company. Just do your best. Just do your best right now. And remember, every day, Liz Fong Jones wakes up and wants to make the world a worse place. What have you done? Have you done the best that you can? Someone, by the way, at the end of it, I mentioned the Stellar Blade shit, and I'm like, the most recent controversy that I can think of that got a lot of attention from anti-censorship people was the Stellar Blade thing. And it accomplished nothing. As far as I'm aware, you Stellar Blade aficionados have not gotten your breast. Your breasticles are still covered up. And on the opposing team, Liz Fong Jones has direct connections with the CEO of Wikimedia and NPR, and all these direct connections to the IEEE and IEFT. And it's like, I think that anti-censors are probably, this is my opinion. If you don't like it, I don't care. Just like, don't spurg out at me. I'm just telling you how I think it is. And if you, this is, sorry, this is perspective into my perspective, okay? The way I see it is that people are very interested in their media. They're very upset when The Lord of the Rings has black people in it, and that Stellar Blade gets censored, and all this other trivial shit about media, because people are so, like, black-pilled and buck-broken that they just want their anime games to be uncensored, so that as society collapses and turns against them, they have entertainment as it happens. Because everyone's just such a fucking negative Nancy, and they don't want to do anything. That's how I see it. And if you disagree and you say, actually, I work very hard every day to secure a future for white people and white children, I just happen to also enjoy Japanese cartoons. Okay, fine. I guess what I say doesn't apply to you, but I think it's true for a lot of people.